Good morning and a very warm welcome to Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Tina Jha. Let's take a look at the headlines first. Prime Minister Narendra Modi set to leave for the United States today on a landmark 5-day visit. It's a packed agenda from trade and investment, a UN General Assembly speech and talks with Barack Obama. UN Security Council adopts binding resolution that compels states from preventing their nationals joining jihadists in Iraq and Syria. Nigerian army claims surrender of hundreds of Boko Haram militants and killing of the group's leader. And India play Pakistan in a much-awaited hockey tie at the Incheon Asian Games today. Both teams have big wins in the games so far. Our top story this morning. Prime Minister Narendra Modi leaves New Delhi today on his maiden US visit. Close to 80 big and small events are lined up for the Prime Minister on the landmark 5-day visit. From an address at the UN General Assembly, meetings with global leaders, including US President Barack Obama, and of course, a thrust on trade and investment. Here's a preview of what's to come.
From meeting President Barack Obama to delivering his maiden speech at the UN General Assembly, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will have his hands full during his visit to the US. He is expected to pitch India's demand for a permanent seat in the United Nations Security Council.
Prime Minister, in his address, will outline our approach to this important area, that is the post-2015 development agenda, as well as try and address issues which are of paramount importance to us and on the multilateral agenda. And these relate to, for example, the expansion and reformation of the Security Council, including India's permanent membership of an expanded Security Council.
The Prime Minister's visit is also seen as an effort by the centre to boost bilateral ties with the US on the sidelines of the UN summit. There is a very high level of expectation from Modi's meeting with President Obama.
We will be focusing on more than the others. And these would be trade and investment, energy, science and technology, defense relations, maritime security, and possible areas of cooperation between India and US with third countries.
Opposition parties also hope that Modi's meeting with Obama bears fruits while keeping India's interests intact.
We want the government to succeed in the interests of the nation, and we wish the Prime Minister a very successful visit.
हम ये अपेक्षा करते हैं प्रधानमंत्री से कि हम अपनी डिप्लोमेटिक पॉलिसी अपने हितों को सुरक्षित रखते हुए आगे बढ़ाएंगे.
Modi will also hold talks with over 15 top American corporate honchos in an effort to attract more overseas investments. Among them are the top executives from Google, Boeing, IBM, Goldman Sachs, MasterCard and Pepsi. With inputs from Akhilesh Suman, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And to discuss more on what lies ahead of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's US visit, we have with us Professor Christopher S. Raj, Professor of American Studies at the School of International Studies, JNU. A very warm welcome to Rajya Sabha TV, Professor.
Thank you and good morning to
This
you.
is Prime Minister Narendra Modi's first visit to the US since assuming office. Of course, a very important one. What all can we expect? And of course, what is going to be Narendra Modi's foreign policy towards the United States?
Well, I think trend was set by his mentor, Vajpayee ji, saying that in America and India are natural allies. We have not moved to that. At least India and United States are partners, if not allies. The movement of U.S. policy towards U.S. policy should not be constrained as a transactional, not a business kind. You give me, I give you. It is not a transaction. One must have a bigger picture, which gives importance that United States relation with India carries two aspects. One is boosting India as a power, global power, then building up its own internal infrastructures. And America has a soft power. You know, soft power is often referred to in terms of technology, in terms of high information technology as we see. Then also in areas of cooperation in field of strengthening our energy security. So America has that soft power. Besides, it has also a hard power in terms of military equipment. We have been dependent on Soviet Union so long time, but now a major opening since 2005. Indo-American defense cooperation has led much faster in our defense cooperations. Almost 8 billion already signed. What is there in now take is right before Prime Minister visit, the Cabinet Security Committee on Security has approved purchase of 20 Apache helicopters and also Chinook helicopters, which is a good sign that India needs America in terms of defense cooperation. Now, the other aspect is when we are working on a big picture with America, we should not feel India-America relation is constrained by China. Now, previous government felt that if we move closer to China, then we would upset China. But we, as an academic, we find U.S. relation with China is much closer, much broader, much in terms of trade and in various forums in international. So there is no choice between India and China or India and United States. So the big picture is to be move closer and very essential to balance China in Asia.
Right.
When already America has come out with a strategy called Pivot to Asia and Pacific, in which India has a major role. We have been involved in, military exercises with America, but these are going to be confirmed. So in area where America would and India would like to give a success story, as we see, today's paper says the education, the science, which are soft power of America. We have best education in the United States, scientists coming, and it comes at the background of major Indian success of putting, satellite around the Mars. So this is once again, space and science cooperation began with Vajpayee times. So this is going to be a major cooperation increasing. Indian capability has been established. This gives India a major market for the world. Countries which wants to put satellite into the space market that India can produce cheap, satellite, putting them in space. So I find the cooperation is in a very long list. The agenda is where India needs most. India needs most is, we will talk only soft power because India needs more in the field of energy security. There is a problem with nuclear, transfer and reactor sale to India. I think Modi ji will resolve this at both level, at the level of United States, talking as it is now, put Westinghouse and General Electric companies are involved in this sale. They are meeting, he's meeting the CEO of these companies, which will encourage them to take a brighter picture.
Yeah, and perhaps this visit, by some analysts is being termed as a G2B meet, government to business community meet, because over the last few years, the economic drift has in fact constrained India's room for foreign policy maneuver. So the manner in which Narendra Modi is going to meet the American delegation, the challenge for him will be to convince these American companies that India is now a favorable destination and India is back in business, so you can come over. What do you think? That's a big challenge. Will he be able to convince these American companies?
I think you very nicely framed the whole focus. This is going to be a business economic cooperation increasing. Identify in the areas of, I think defense cooperation is more important in terms of transfer of technology. Last month, Secretary Chuck Hagel was here. So the agreement for transfer of technology on 12 weapon system has been identified. The question is to work out up to what level. The Americans are prepared to give transfer of technology and co-production what exists now. India feels that technology which is going and America is working on 5th generation technology need to be also considered. So I think the gap will be narrowed. And the second comes, the major is in terms of energy security. I think Modi ji would focus on shale gas and solar energy, which America has a lot of resources and technology, and India.
Apart from business, let's also focus on this political front. Narendra Modi, in fact, the MEA has confirmed that Prime Minister will not be meeting his Pakistani counterpart. Do you see it as continuation of the cancellation of secretary-level talks, or do you think because he had a power-packed schedule, that's why he's not been able to give time to the Pakistani Prime Minister?
I think the time has come for India to take a strong position on Pakistan. So far, it has been fluid. So far, it has been said to keep the dialogue and at the same time to have tough talk with Pakistan would solve the problem. But the world as it is moving in aspect of counter-terrorism, America has come openly both in the action and as well as United Nations policy against counter-terrorism. India, as far as Pakistan relation is concerned, on the issue of counter-terrorism, I think there should be no concession.
Right.
And also promoting internal, Pakistan delegation want to meet and met the, during last month when the, people who are dividing India, who doesn't think as in India as one unit, I think we have no right to allow such a state like Pakistan to meet them, receive them and talk.
Right,
I think
Professor
somewhere
Rajya.
we must draw the line.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning and sharing your perspective with us. Now, with that, we'll slip into a very short break. Still to come, congratulatory messages poured in from around the world on a huge success of India's Mars orbiter mission. That and all the other world news on the other side of this break. Do stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching The Breakfast News. Now, praises and congratulatory messages have been pouring in from across the country and the world after India joined an elite club of nations on Wednesday who have achieved success in interplanetary mission. US space agency NASA, which has also sent a mission to Mars called Maven, congratulated its Indian counterpart.
Scientists at the Indian Space Research Organization jubilant as they heard that their years of hard work had paid off. Congratulatory messages poured in soon after, hailing the historic achievement. President Pranab Mukherjee congratulated the team behind Mangalyaan and said the breakthrough will inspire the country's scientists to make even greater strides. Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari also congratulated the scientists at ISRO. In his statement, he said the nation is proud of their achievement.
I personally believe ISRO team is very fantastic team. They have achieved Mars mission, what they planned, high success, what they expected, what they achieved.
This achievement also places India in a very elite club of advanced spacefaring nations who have reached Mars, joining Russia, USA and the European Space Agency. Its imminent success gives us, our scientists and the nation, immense satisfaction.
China also congratulated India on its low-cost mission to Mars. The mission makes India the first country in Asia to reach the red planet after an attempt by China failed to leave Earth's orbit in 2011.
我们看到了相关的报道，我们对印度的曼加里安号火星探测器成功的进入火星轨道表示祝贺。这是印度的骄傲，也是亚洲的骄傲，也是人类和平探索和利用外空取得的一个重大的进展，所以呢，我们对印度表示。
NASA also congratulated the Indian Space Agency for creating history. NASA's Maven had reached the orbit of Mars on Tuesday. ISRO has achieved what no space agency in the world, including NASA, managed to do in their first attempt. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And in some other news now, the UN Security Council has adopted a binding resolution compelling member states to prevent their nationals joining jihadists in Iraq and Syria. Chairing the session, US President Barack Obama said that nations must prevent the recruitment and financing of foreign fighters. The US drafted resolution was adopted unanimously by the Council. Rising conflict in Syria and Iraq have attracted young recruits from countries across the world in recent weeks. The Anti-Terror Committee at the UN blacklisted more than a dozen foreign extremist fighters, fundraisers and recruiters tied to militant groups in Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, Tunisia and Yemen.
Preventing these individuals from reaching Syria and then slipping back across our borders is a critical element of our strategy to degrade and ultimately destroy ISIL.
Eliminating terrorism requires international solidarity and multifaceted approach. Among the many tools we must use, we must also tackle the underlying conditions that provide violent extremist groups the opportunity to take root.
Meanwhile, US and coalition warplanes continue to pound Islamic State positions in eastern Syria, targeting what a Pentagon official described as mobile oil refineries being used by terror groups to help finance its operations. The US has already indicated that the airstrikes were only the beginning of a fight that could take years.
5 airstrikes hit territory controlled by the Islamic State in Syria near the Turkish-Iraqi border, especially near the Kurdish town of Kobane. This aerial bombardment was not confirmed by the US or any other coalition partner. However, US did carry out airstrikes at 2 other places in Syria and Iraq. Earlier, President Obama hailed Arab involvement in US-led strikes.
And because of the almost unprecedented effort of this coalition, I think we now have an opportunity to send a very clear message that the world is united, that all of us are committed to making sure that we degrade and ultimately destroy not only ISIL, but also the kinds of extremist ideologies that would lead to so much bloodshed.
Despite the airstrikes, Islamic State has reinforced fighters that are battling Kurdish forces for the Syrian town of Kobane. Although Turkey has denied giving permission for the use of its airspace in Wednesday's attack, it does not rule out lending military or logistical support.
Bu yol haritasının kararlılıkla sürdürülmesi gerekir ve terörle mücadele, özellikle bölgedeki bu terörle mücadeleye bir ortak mutabakat içerisinde yürünmesinin de gereğine inanıyorum.
In a substantial escalation in the campaign against the Islamic State, the US carried out its first airstrikes in Syria on Tuesday in concert with 5 Arab allies: Bahrain, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, the UAE and Qatar. British Parliament is also likely to take a final decision on any military action against IS on Friday. Bureau Report, Rajya, Sabha TV.
Let's now bring you an update on other news and events from around the globe in our World Wrap. French President François Hollande has condemned the beheading of 55-year-old mountaineer Hervé Gordel, who was kidnapped and beheaded by the Algerian militant group Jund el Khalifa on Wednesday. The French national was apparently killed in response to a call to action by the Islamic State militant group, who are demanding France to stop its airstrikes against the Islamic State in Iraq. The Nigerian military has said that more than 260 Boko Haram militants have surrendered in northeastern Nigeria. Boko Haram has suffered heavy losses in recent weeks as the Nigerian military battled the group close to its hometown of Maiduguri, birthplace of Boko Haram and the headquarters of the military offensive to contain the Islamic uprising. Sunni militants killed 19 Shiite militiamen in an ambush north of Baghdad on Wednesday. Police officials said fighters from the Islamic State extremist group hiding in orchards opened fire with machine guns on a convoy of Shiite militiamen traveling on a road in Babilian village. 39 other people were also wounded in the attack. The reactivation of Shiite militias has raised fears of a return to the sectarian violence that convulsed the country in 2006 and 2007. Former US spy agency contractor Edward Snowden has been awarded Sweden's Right Livelihood Honorary Award, often referred to as the Alternative Nobel Prize. Snowden shares the award with Elan Rosbridger, the editor of The Guardian, which has published a series of articles on government surveillance based on documents leaked by the US fugitive. The 1.5 million kroner prize money, that's about $200,000 will be shared between 3 activists. Brazilian researchers in Rio de Janeiro have released thousands of mosquitoes infected with bacteria that suppresses dengue fever. The researchers say the good mosquitoes or mosquitoes with Wolbachia bacteria do not spread the dengue virus, and their offspring are also rendered incapable of spreading the disease. The initiative is part of a global program that is also taking place in Australia, Vietnam and Indonesia. And in news from the global stock markets, US stocks jumped in a broad advance on Wednesday, snapping a 3-day losing streak. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose by 155.6 points or 0.91% to close the day at 17,211. Standard & Poor's 500 gained 15.65 points or 0.79% to end the day at 1,998. The Nasdaq Composite added 46.53 points or 1.03% to close the trading at 4,555. Asian stocks slipped on Wednesday as US-led airstrikes in Syria curbed appetite for risky assets after US yields fell. Japan's Nikkei slumped by 107.27 points or 0.6% to end the business at 16,350. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index sank 1.12% or 250.67 points to close at 23,918. Snapping its six-session fall, gold rates recovered smartly by 415 rupees or 0.25% to 26,815 rupees per 10 grams on renewed demand from stockists and retailers amid bullish overseas sentiment. Silver too followed the yellow metal and spurted by 590 rupees or 0.43% to conclude at 40,270 rupees per kg owing to good speculative offtake. We'll take another short break here. All the news from the Asian Games at Incheon on the other side. Do stay with us. Welcome back. It was just a single bronze medal for India on day 5 of the Asian Games. Let's take a look at how India fared on day 5. Rohit Dushyant added another bronze to India's tally in the Asian Games after finishing third in the lightweight men's single sculls final. Dushyant led from the 500 metres till the last 200 metres in the 2000 metres race before strong northerly winds and rain put him behind to finish third by clocking 7 minutes and 26 seconds. In badminton, India's top shuttlers Saina Nehwal and PV Sindhu won their respective singles matches to advance into the next round. Saina easily overcame Yu Teng Lok of Macau 21-10, 21-8 in just 20 minutes. Sindhu also had a comfortable 21-7, 21-13 victory in 19 minutes over Wong Kit Leng. Indian boxers began their Asian Games campaign on a winning note. Comeback man Akhil bashed his Nepalese rival Purna Bahadur Lama before notching up a technical knockout win. In another match, Shiva Thapa also advanced to the pre-quarterfinals after getting a walkover in his opening match. Let's take a look now at the medals tally at the end of the 5th day. China has opened up a big lead at the top with 59 goals. Hosts Korea are at second place with 26 goals, followed by Japan at third with 20 goals. India have slipped 2 places and are now at the 15th position with 1 gold, 1 silver and 10 bronze medals. Now let's have a look at some of the events that India will be in action on day 6. India will take on arch rivals Pakistan in the men's Pool B hockey match today. A high-intensity clash is expected as both teams have won their first 2 matches by big margins and are on 6 points each. India's short corner specialist Rupinder Pal Singh is doubtful to start after an injury. India had beaten Pakistan 3-2 in the 2010 games. Despite drawing a blank on the 5th day, Indian shooters will look to add more medals to the tally today. Olympic bronze medalist Gagan Narang will be in action in the 50 metres prone event. Men will also participate in the 25 metres standard pistol event and double trap team and individual event. Women's team will also be in action in the double trap event. And finally, some unique art sculptures made from more than 1 million Lego bricks will be on display in London from tomorrow. This exhibition is called Art of Brick. Take a look at these masterpieces while we take your leave. Have a great day.